हरि ओम सर।
हरि ओम हरि ओम
हरि ओम।
हरि ओम। ओम विश्वं दर्पण दृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगीव यस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ यदि मन्यसे सुवेदेति दभ्रमेवापि नूनम् त्वं वेत्थ ब्रह्मणो रूपम् यदस्य त्वं यदस्य देवेषु अथ नुमीमांसमेव ते मन्ये विदितम्। So we are seeing now the second chapter from the beginning. This is the first verse. So with the ninth mantra we have completed the first chapter of the Kenopanisad, and in that of course the question, the chapter 1 was it started with a question of a disciple and then kena shitam patati preshitam manaha etc., and then the answer has been given by the teacher in a very roundabout way. Shrotrasya shrotram manaso manaha etc. etc. The answer has been given like that. And then same thing, that mantra number 2, whatever the answer was given has been explained. Manaso manaha has been told, and it has been explained further. Yan manasana manute yena ahur manomatam tadeva brahmatvam viddhi nedam yadidam upasate etc. So I mean the nature of consciousness, nature of the subject has been revealed. And this all the mantras are basically Mahavakyas, because Tadeva Brahmatvam Viddhi, that Pratyagatma, the subject, the consciousness, is Brahman. That is how it has been told in that in the variety and so many mantras. And now this after this, now the teacher really wants to find out whether he has really communicated successfully or not to the students. And so in the second chapter, we get this, the teacher wants a student to respond to the teaching, so he could understand whether they have successfully grasped or not. And so I mean it's a small examination of the student and a bigger examination for the teacher also. And we find in Kenopanisad the student happens to be a very brilliant student man. The way he answered, we'll see that in the second mantra. So the students grasp the teaching very well, and he presents the answer to the full satisfaction of the teacher. And here basically the teacher is expecting a response from the student, but before the student replies or provides the response, the teacher gives a small warning, a statutory warning kind of a thing to the student, that do not be in hurry to present your reply, because this of course I have given you Brahma Jnanam, Atma Jnanam, but that Jnanam is different from all other knowledges. So it is unlike any other knowledge. All other knowledges are aparavidya, and that's a different. And here this is paravidya, of course, is definitely the nature of that knowledge is different. So any student who is coming from the knowing worldly things, well, he comes here and approach the Shastra and tries to gain the nature of, tries to gain the knowledge of Atma. Basically, he will have the same one special type of an orientation. And that orientation of mind has to be changed because the nature of knowledge is different here. And so conventional orientation will lead to misconception regarding Atma or Brahman. So we have to break first the orientation. And in order to break the orientation, only the teacher did the job. And what is that orientation which we should break? Well, the orientation which is there in knowing other things in the world, and that orientation won't work for the knowledge of Atma. But what is that orientation? And we saw it also, that all the knowledge take place through the objectification in the mind. And so we classify all these objects through objectification. Knowledge takes place, and therefore definitely, I know it as an object in my mind, and that's how the knowledge takes place. So here, 1 minute. So we classify all the objects in the creation into two categories. Any given thing falls into any object will belong to one of the category. What is that categories? The first category is the unknown category. So object is unknown. I have never come across through perception, inference, etc. And therefore I have never seen, I have never read about it, I have never tasted it, I never smelled it, etc. I have never inferred it. The means of knowledge available to the human being, even it has never become that object has never come in contact with the means of knowledge which are available to the human being. So it is unknown, and that is the first one category. And then definitely during our life, from unknown objects we try to bring those objects into second category called known objects. So through learning, etc., through employing the means of knowledge, well, we definitely bring unknown objects to the known objects. And so there are two categories are there. So far as worldly knowledge is concerned, which takes place through the objectification in the mind, and those objects are of two categories, unknown category and known category. Unknown objects, known objects. Some of the unknown objects from the category number 1 can come to the known objects. Can become known objects. It comes to the second category. So this is how it takes place. And definitely after even employing a means of knowledge available to you, perception, inference, etc., well, some of the objects still you are not able to know. And then definitely those objects will remain unknown only. So this is how knowledge of the objects takes place. This is all aparavidya. Aparavidya means the knowledge pertaining to the world, knowledge pertaining to various objects in the world. And so we have this orientation. Definitely we want to know the objects, and we definitely have orientation from bringing the object from a known category to the known category. So, well, here also, when you come across when you approach the Shastra, then here also it is the same thing. In Shastra also, here also you get a knowledge of Atma or Brahman. These are the things they use. And so here also you try to objectify Atma, or you try to objectify the Brahman. So definitely Brahman is basically unknown for you. That's how you have approached the Shastra. Shastra is a means of knowledge, and definitely you want to know Atma through the Shastra. And so, when you enter, well, that Brahman is in the unknown category. And there is orientation in me, the old orientation, that I do the Shravanam, Mananam, etc., and I want to bring it to the known category. I mean, I want to know the Brahman as a object, like I know any other thing in the world. And well, definitely here we are failing, and therefore, whatever I try through Shravana, Mananam, etc., well, I cannot transfer the Brahman from unknown to the known Brahman. And so then teacher realize it, and so in the first chapter he has broken this orientation of objectification. So he says Brahman is that which does not come under unknown category, and Brahman is that which never comes under known category. So don't try that. Don't try to bring the unknown Brahman into a known Brahman, into known category. Because Brahman is basically distinct from what is known and unknown. And so, Anyadeva tad viditat atho aviditat adhi, Brahman does not come under either known or unknown category. And therefore, our aim of study is not to convert Brahman into a known category. So, so you cannot, you can never say that I do not know Brahman, because it is distinct from unknown. And you can also never say I know Brahman, because Brahman is basically distinct from known also. And therefore, so either known or unknown. Brahman does not fall into either of these two categories. Generally, all objects are classified into known or unknown. Brahman does not fall into either of that. So then definitely we should have a third category. Because the first one category is unknown category. Second category is a known category. And Brahman is distinct from unknown and unknown, both. Then Brahman must be falling into the third category. What is that third category? We don't know any third category. That's our orientation. That is our orientation, that there is no third category at all. And there is a third category, of course. And so this is a new orientation. Our orientation is always for objectification. Anything which you know in the world is through objectification in the mind. You make a particular thing, whatever thing you know, you make it as an object of your thought, and that is how you know. If any given thing cannot become an object of your thought, that thing you will never know. You will never know. So that's the old orientation, and it fails here, because Brahman is distinct from both the categories, known and unknown. And therefore, basically, Brahman can exist only in the form of one category which is other than known category and also other than unknown category. And that is the third category. That third category is the knower. That's all. Because basically Brahman is distinct from known and unknown objects. Then all objects are exhausted now. Only two categories are there for objects. That is known or unknown. And then the third category is not at all we cannot classify it as an object. Then what is left over is subject. That's the third category. That is the knower. So Brahman can be known as a knower. So third category other than known and unknown is the knower category. And so knower alone is that subject. And so our new orientation should be, there is a category called knower. And so the Shastra is talking about the knower, not a known. Shastra is talking about the knower. The knower who has approached the Shastra. The knower who has approached the means of knowledge called Shastra. So that knower has, about that knower, Shastra is giving some valuable information. Very valuable information. So Brahman exists in the form of a knower. Brahman exists in the form of knower means it's a status of it's a status. Knower is a status of a Brahman. And so knower means what? Then now there is no question of looking up and down anywhere. Knower means I. And therefore, basically, Brahman exists. The very subject is Brahman. That is what Acharya wants to convey. So, to break the orientation, old orientation of knowing the things, it has been told in this manner that Brahman is distinct from a known and unknown object. So, and the student also, of course, comes up with a brilliant answer. He has to respond now that yes, I know Brahman in this way only. But before that, the teacher is giving a very small warning. Yadi manyase suvedeti. So student, if you say that I have known Brahman very well, I mean very clearly, then very clearly you have known means it is distinct from you. Like this thing is very clearly known to you through your eyes. Same way Brahman also I have known like this as an object. Then well, definitely you have not known. And our Swami Chimayanji used to tell very beautiful thing. He used to give a nice example that with a torch light you can illumine all objects in the room. So it is very powerful. But if you cannot use that light to see the battery within the torch light, you cannot see. Whatever you do, you cannot see that battery. And if you remove the battery and bring it to the other side, in front of the battery, well, what happens? There is no light. Light itself will not be there. Similarly, suppose you want to bring the Atma or Brahman out and clearly experience the Atma with your mind by objectification, well, the mind will be out. There is no mind. If Brahman is not there, there is no mind. First thing is, where is the knower? The knower itself is not there to know the Atma. The knower, existence of knower is over. If Brahman is not there, existence of knower is not there. Existence of thought is not there. And therefore, the thought itself is not available to objectify the Atma, which is in front. Like the way if you remove the battery, well, the light itself is not there to know the battery. Where is the question of knowing? So this is what it means. So it is not an object on the other side of the mind. It is the subject on this side of the mind. It cannot be objectified. It is the objectifier of everything, including the mind. So that is what it has been told there, yad manasa manna manute yena ahur manomatam. So that which can never be known or experienced by the mind, and well, yena ahur manomatam, because of which consciousness alone or Brahman alone, mind itself is known or revealed, that tadeva brahmatvam vidhi, that consciousness is Brahman, etc. That we have already seen. So Suveda means this. You cannot, Sushtu Veda means you know clearly. You cannot know clearly. Clearly knowing means objectifying it. And therefore Brahman cannot be known as a object. Vishayataya na upalabhyate. The Brahman cannot be known as a object. Because if you want to know it as an object, the knower itself will not be possible, and the very thought through which I objectify the Brahman or Atma, that itself will not be possible. The very existence of them, it depends upon the Brahman. And therefore, the thought exists in Brahman. The knower exists in Brahman. And well, known also exists in Brahman. Everything is Brahman. So knower, of course, one should know Brahman as in the third category, that is a knower. But once you know that you are, the truth of the knower is Brahman. Means what? Is basically the knower, known and knowledge. Everything. Yeah, it is not just knower. Don't think Brahman is just a knower. Well, you know the truth of the knower, then that is one whole alone. It's limitless. And limitless means the thought also, or the cognitive thought also is a Brahman, and the object of knowledge also is Brahman. So knower, known and knowledge, all the three are Brahman. That is the knowledge. So as a result of listening to the first chapter, if we say, well, because we all have heard, so well, everyone can say that I clearly know Brahman. Well, the teacher is not going to be very happy. If you say I know clearly Brahman because we have learned the first chapter, well, the teacher would not be happy. So definitely what we should say is that then definitely the next thing is, well, I don't know Brahman. Then teacher will get a heart attack. Because after a whole chapter teaching about Brahman, and then you say, well, I don't know Brahman, then definitely teacher gets a heart attack. If you say, I know very clearly Brahman, teacher gets a heart attack. Now what to do? That is what the problem is. Anyway, so yadi manyase suvedeti dabhramevapi nunam. So teacher says, if you tell me that I know very clearly, if I ask you, do you know Brahman now? I have taught you in the chapter 1. Do you know now? Well, if you say, yes, I know clearly. If student says, then Dabram evapi nunam tvam vetha. You know what? Brahman. The Brahm, very little. You know the Brahman very, very little. Little means that you do not know. It means, in fact, little do you know Brahman. Brahman cannot be known little. Brahman is limitless. And therefore, you cannot know. So whatever little you know, that is not Brahman, basically. So the Brahmevapi Nunam means you really don't know Brahman. If you say, I really know Brahman, I am very sorry to tell you that you really don't know Brahman. Because Brahman is not the object. So basically, object is something which you can tell, well, yes, I know it very well. So through objectification. Brahman is not an object. And therefore, Brahmanaha Rupam. So the Swarupam, the real nature of the Atma or Brahman, Yadasyatvam Yadasya Deveshu. So Brahma Swarupam, which is obtaining in the Yadasyatvam, Yad Asyatvam. And therefore, Tvam means here teacher is telling to the student, means that Swarupam of the Brahman which is available in the obtaining in these human beings, or Yadasyatvam Deveshu. So, the nature of Brahman that is available in the Devas, all this, well, definitely, if you say that I know that it is available in the all the human beings, or it is available in the all Devas as such, and I know very clearly like that, well, I am sorry to say that you really don't know Brahman. Because basically, neither you know the nature of Jivatma, and if you objectify Brahman like this, that it is available in a human being, or it is available in a particular Devata, in a particular form, well, neither you know Jivatma very clearly, because in human being it is available as a Jivatma. Neither you know Paramatma also clearly, because Paramatma is not just available in a given form, Deveshu, in a particular form of a Devata. And therefore you don't know Atma at all, you do not know Brahman at all, either in the individual or either in the total. And well, so this conclusion is under, well, the category of that I know Brahman. If you say I know Brahman, this will be the situation. That, well, you don't know really, you really don't know the Jivatma or the individual, you really don't know the total. And what you know is a little bit of Brahman, means that you don't know at all what the Brahman is. If you say that I know Brahman very well, Yadi manyase su vedeti, if you tell me that I know Brahman very well, then this situation will occur. Athanu means therefore, mimamsameva evate. Therefore, before answering or presenting or giving your response to my teaching of the first chapter, well, you analyze very well. Mimamsa means analysis. So we have a Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa, etc. Vedanta is called a Uttar Mimamsa. And Purva Bhaga is called Purva Mimamsa, in which you analyze the karmas, etc. Analyze the Veda mantras. Basically analysis of the Vedic statements is called Mimamsa. And that too, with a proper interpretation. That is what you are analyzing for, what? Proper interpretation. Because Veda mantras have to be analyzed properly so that it will give you a correct interpretation. And therefore that is called Mimamsa. So here teacher says, the Athanu Mimamsam evate. Therefore, before, don't tell me immediately that yes, I know Brahman very well, you taught very well, etc., etc. Don't tell me immediately. Mimamsam evate. Analyze properly what I have said, and well, if you want some break in between, I can give you a break also, but before answering, well, think over it, analyze properly the nature of Atma, nature of Brahman, analyze properly and then answer. Well, after so the te is there, right? Mimamsim eva te, and then there should be a full stop. There should be a full stop there. Up to this is a warning of a teacher, Acharya. So this much whole Yadi manyase su vedeti, etc., etc., and Mimamsam evate, up to that is told by teacher. Acharya uvacha. You can write this much. And well, and then what Shishya did then? Bhashyakara says in commentary that even though the Shishya is brilliant and he has grasped the teaching very well, but since the teacher has given an additional warning, so student withdrew from the teacher and spent some time quietly doing Nididhyasanam, etc. And this is all we are adding, because the way he answers, we have to add in between all these things. After that, he felt that he has grasped the teaching very well regarding Brahman, the Swarupa of Brahman, nature of Brahman, and therefore he came to the teacher. And Bhashyakara says, Jagarja. Jagarja means he roared in front of all students are sitting and teacher is sitting. He came back after some time and Jagarja, he roared and the answer in front of the teacher, because he was very confident. He must have analyzed and understood Brahman very clearly as the self. And he must have understood that I, the knower, is basically the substratum of entire creation, which is in the form of a knower, known, and the knowledge. Well, so what he said, simple. Manye viditam. That's all. He answered like this. Manye. Manye means aham manye. Aham viditam manye. Aham Brahma viditam manye. So I think I have clearly grasped your teaching, and well, I know Brahman. I know Brahman. So then definitely, Swami, but I know Brahman means it will be on object. Well, he is going to clarify. We'll not do any haste. So, the teaching has been grasped by me. The nature of Brahman has been grasped by me very clearly, because your teaching is very good. And the student says, I have grasped Brahman. Then definitely, if you say I have understood Brahman very well, then the same problem, it becomes an object of your understanding or knowledge. So this reply may lead to some misunderstanding. If he lives here and goes back, that's all. Aham manye viditam. Well, I know Brahman. If he tells this much and leaves, we feel that he still doesn't know. He considers Brahman as an object of knowledge. And therefore, student himself, to clarify this misunderstanding, student himself elaborates the reply in the next beautiful mantra. A very often quoted mantra of the Kenopanisad is this second mantra of a second chapter. Naham manye suvedeti no na vedeti vedacha yo nastadveda tadveda no na vedeti vedacha. So you can, this is very, very terse. It's not terse, but all these things are Veda, Suveda, Naveda, etc. All this is filled up with that. So first thing is I am telling you where to put a comma. Naham manye suvedeti. After that you do comma. Then no na vedeti. Another comma. Then in the second line, yonas tadveda. After that comma, tadveda. Again comma, nona vedeti, comma, vedacha. Clear? So, naham manye suvedeti, put a comma. Nona vedeti, put a comma. Then in second line, yonas tad veda, comma, tad veda, comma, nona vedeti, comma, vedacha. So, that is how it is, we have to. Now, we'll try to understand what student reply. So here the student points out that he doesn't want to fall in the trap of this teacher's thing. I don't want to fall into the pitfall. That is what he very brilliantly puts everything by which teacher really congratulated him. So what is that because teacher had given a warning that beforehand, so that before answering to me, try to understand grasp of the teaching which I have given you regarding Brahman or Atma, and then reply. Because teacher has very clearly told that Brahman it doesn't come under the category of a known or unknown. So student says, well, I will never say that I know Brahman. Please understand this. I will never say I know Brahman. I will never commit the mistake of saying that I know Brahman. But where it has been told, in the very first part, Naham manye suveda iti. Iti means the quotation. Means before iti, whatever has been there, that is one sentence of a student. One part of the answer of the student. Naham manye suvedeti Well, I will not say, or I will not commit a mistake of saying, I will commit the mistake of saying that I know Brahman. Because if I say that I know Brahman, well, you will say Brahman will become, Brahman becomes, Brahman will fall into the category number 2, that is known category. And you have already told me, O teacher, that Brahman is distinct from the known. And therefore, if I say, well, I know Brahman, then you will say, well, it is falling into the category of known. And that is, known is object, not subject. And therefore, because we have done, the object, the objects are divided into 2. One category is unknown, other category is known. So if a student says that, well, I know Brahman, well, Brahman falls into the category of a known object. And once you say, I have objectified Brahman in order to know that, that's enough. That's over. So because Brahman is not just anything, any limitless thing. This is a common sense. Any limitless thing can never become an object of a thought. Limitless thing can never become an object of thought. So if Brahman indicates that limitlessness, that can never become either an unknown or unknown. It cannot become an object. Known or unknown, it is impossible. And therefore, the thought can pervade always, because your mind is limited. Thought is very limited. And that thought can pervade an object which has a certain dimension. Whatever it may be a earth, let's say. But still, it's basically whatever has a dimension, only thought can pervade to that. Nothing more than that. So what is limitless beyond dimension? So, Naham Manye Suveda, definitely. So, well, I will not commit that mistake of saying that I know Brahman. So, Aham Manye Suveda iti na. I know Brahman, it is not. I will not say I know Brahman. Okay, good. Then, well, what about, does it mean that you don't know Brahman? No. So, no na Veda. So, no na Veda means na Veda iti no manni. So, you have to make it little, proper syntax. Na Veda iti no manni. So, well, I do not say that I don't know also. Could you follow what I am saying? If you say, well, he says what? Aham manye, aham suveda iti na manni. I know Brahman, well, I won't say that. Okay, then do you mean that you don't know Brahman? No. So, na veda iti no manni. I don't know Brahman, that is also not. I know Brahman, that is not. I do not know Brahman, that is not. Let me, I think, first give you the translation. Of the only first line I am giving you translation. If you want to write it down, you can write it down. So, the entire first line, see, should be translated in this manner. We'll then analyze. I do not consider. Manya means consideration. I do not consider I know Brahman. Naham manye suveda iti. So this much part translation is this. Nona veda iti. That part I will tell you now. I do not consider that I do not know Brahman. And then veda cha. I understand Brahman as something, what? Other than known and unknown. But how does it take? Because he is already told, I know Brahman, that is not. So he has kept aside the Brahman from the known category. Then he said, well, I do not consider that I don't know Brahman. So he has he has kept Brahman aside from the unknown category also. Therefore, well, and still he says, I know Brahman. Means what? How does he know? You can understand very well. So the first two sentences he said that The Brahman, I know Brahman which is distinct from known. I know Brahman which is distinct from unknown. Means I know Brahman as the very knower. He says that way. So Vedacha means, well, I understand Brahman, something that is other than known and unknown. Means I understand Brahman, that is, I understand Brahman as the knower. I understand Brahman as the myself. I understand Brahman as as I. I understand Brahman as a subject, let's say. And what is that subject? Which you have already told me. Shrotrasya shrotam, manaso manaha, vachoha vacham, etc. Which you have told. That Brahman I have understood as myself, as the nature, as the very truth of the knower, that is I. That is the subject. So this is how, this is a translation of the first sentence, first line of the mantra. And therefore now I think you are able to understand. So I know very well, I know Brahman, that is also not. So well, it doesn't mean that I do not know Brahman also. And well, I don't fall into the pitfall that well, that Brahman is something unknown also. So na veda iti no manye, and well, so this is how Brahman is distinct from both the things, known and unknown. Brahman is not an object. Brahman is not an object of the knowledge. Brahman is the very subject of the knowledge. Subject of the knowledge means knower. So Vedacha has a three meaning. So three parts are there, right? In the first sentence, first line, three parts are there. Naham mannesu vedeti. He clearly tells that Brahman is Brahman is distinct from known. Nona veda iti. Brahman is something, Brahman is distinct from unknown. Vedacha. And distinct from known and unknown, yet I know Brahman. Means I say, knower. I know. So very, very brilliantly he tells this. Such a kind of thing is not there in any Upanishad. Very directly he says what is the Brahman. What is the nature of Brahman? What is the nature of Atma? Very beautifully he says. What the teacher is telling, that some student will fall into the trap of not understanding Brahman. He has not fallen into it. So basically, and this is how he says. Then what is told in the teacher must have been very thrilled by this, because the disciple has really grasped the teaching. So well, we can imagine the teacher must have congratulated the student, and because student is Jagarja. Bhashyakara says Jagarja means he roared, means he must be very confident. He must have known the self, oneself as a Brahman. Okay, what about second line? Yeah, second line is very simple now. See what it says, Yonas tadveda nona vedeti vedacha. So he says, because there are many students sitting in the class, definitely. So because this is a Gurukulam, so other students are there, and the students is confident. He says, Yaha asmakam veda. So you can go back to the mantra. I will tell you something. Yaha, yo means yaha, means one. Naha means asmakam. Naha means asmakam. Asmakam means one who among us, one who among all the students. Tad veda. Tad veda. Well, what is told by me, what reply I have been given by me to the teacher. Well, one who knows that among us, tad veda. The way I have replied about Brahman, the nature of Brahman, to the teacher, among all of us students also, that reply the reply has been understood by the student. That student also knows the nature of Brahman. Yo naha tad veda. Tad veda. So this is how it is. Nona veda iti vedacha. What reply I have given? Nona veda iti vedacha. I am explaining you. Anyway, so among the students of Gurukulam, whichever student understands my reply to the teacher, that Nona veda, vedacha, that reply, well, all those students also have grasped the teaching of Brahman very well. So he says here, Nona veda iti, Nona veda, means na veda iti na. But Swamiji, no is there, it is not na, Na u is equal to no. Means na veda, it is na u na Veda. Means it is not that I don't know Brahman. That statement, whoever has understood, that reply I have given to the teacher. It's not that I don't know Brahman. Vedacha, I know Brahman. Well, that reply to the teacher, whoever has understood among us, he also has understood the Brahman very well. Could you follow what I am saying? So, no na vedeti vedacha, no na vedeti. So you take out that na veda in between. Na veda iti. So before iti is there, iti is just to show that it is quotation. You have to put in inverted commas. So na veda, I don't know Brahman. Na u, it is not. Means it is not that I don't know Brahman. Okay, vedacha, I know Brahman. So here chakara is sarva samshaya bhakshanartha. So bhakshakaha, sarva samshaya bhakshakaha. So it's devourer of all the doubts. Vedacha, he says like that. Vedacha, I know Brahman. Don't think that because I say, well, I don't say that I know Brahman. So then teacher says, what you have done during classes of the first chapter? So you have slept? No. Vedacha, I know. You don't think that I don't know Brahman. Vedacha, I know. And whoever has understood my reply to the teacher, among all the students sitting here, he also knows Brahman very well. Very beautifully he says like this. I mean, Nona Vedeti Vedacha is a reply of a student to the teacher. Iti Tad Veda, this reply of mine, whichever student in the class is able to understand, Naha among us, well, Saha Tad Veda. He definitely, that student also has got the message. He has also understood the teaching very well. So Yaha Naha, Yo Naha Tad Veda you have to take together. So among all of us, all the students, one who has understood my reply to the teacher, what is that reply? Nona Veda iti Vedacha. It is not that I don't know Brahman. I know Brahman. Well, that reply, whoever has understood among all the students, he also knows the Brahman very well. So, well, with this, the student, of course, stops communication. Teacher also has stopped communication because it is too much. Therefore, teaching is successfully over. Teaching is successfully over. So, you have to imagine that teacher and student both walk away. We have to imagine like that because as such, Kenopanisad is over here. Don't think. But now Upanishad itself is very happy with the dialogue. And so Upanishad takes a mic and in the following mantras, now Upanishad summarizes the teaching given through the dialogue. This was a student and teacher dialogue. It has started with the question, Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manaha. Afterwards, the entire chapter was chapter 1 was an answer to the student's question by the teacher. And then in the mantra 1 of this chapter 2, teacher gives a little warning. He wants to understand, he wants to have a clarity whether the students have understood the teaching or not regarding the self. And definitely, so he gives a warning. Yadi manyase suvedeti the brahmeva pinunam, etc., etc. If you tell that I know Brahman very well, you don't know Brahman, etc. So before, I am going to ask you a question, do you know Brahman? Then think over and answer. And then the student answer. Very well. And what is the answer we have already seen? Naham manye suvedeti. No, Naham manye suvedeti is it's a repetition of what teacher says. Teacher says what? Yadi manyase suvedeti. If you say that, I know Brahman very well, means as an object of knowledge, then you have not understood. The Brahmevapi Nunam, you have understood Brahman very little, means you have not understood. Then he repeats the same thing. While replying, student repeats the same thing. Naham manye suveda. Well, definitely, I don't know Brahman very well. So, okay, then you don't know Brahman? No. No na vedeti. It is not that I don't know Brahman. I know Brahman. Vedacha. I know Brahman. And not only that, yahanat ved nahatat veda. Naha means asmakam madhye. This is called a nirdharan shashti. So this is a shashti. Now, naha is equal to asmakam. Asmakam shishyanam madhye. Among all the students, yaha nastat veda. Yaha nastat veda. Well, definitely one who know, one who knows the reply, my reply to the teacher, one who knows that. What is that reply but? No na vedeti vedecha. It's not that I don't know. I know Brahman. That's a reply to the teacher by the student. That reply is understood by among all the students who are sitting here. Whoever has understood, saha tad veda. He also knows Brahman very well. Abba, this is how it is. This is how he answered. And Upanishad now starts discussing this. I mean, because both have gone. Guru and Shishya, the dialogue is over. With the Shishya's reply, it's over. So, Upanishad Uvacha. Upanishad will sum up the teaching in the following mantras. Very beautiful mantras are there. So, let's read the mantra number 3. Yasya matam tasya matam matam yasya na vedasah avijñatam vijanatam vijñatam avijanatam. It's the same thing. He's repeating in a different words. These are all words of the Upanishad, not the words of a teacher or a student, etc. And through these words, of course, the Upanishad brings out a very uniqueness of Brahmajnanam or Atmajnanam by using the language of paradox. In Vedanta, based understanding of is possible through paradox. Everywhere in Bhagavad Gita also you have found many places paradox. I have told you also in second chapter also, and we have seen all the mantra in the Sthita Prajna section, etc. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe, etc., etc. Where Jnani sleeps, the Ajnanis are, for them it's a day. For the night of a Jnani is a day of a Ajnani. And the night of a Ajnani is a day of a Jnani, etc. This is how the answer has been. It has been narrated in this way. Sthita Prajna or a Jnani or a wise person is narrated in this way. We have seen that, of course, you know very well. So, these are the words of Upanishad, and here it's a language of a paradox. Because Brahma Jnanam is a Jnanam in which person knows Brahman without knowing Brahman. Person knows Brahman without knowing Brahman. That is what it means. It is very correct. It is a very unique knowledge in which a person knows Brahman. It is a self. Self can never be known. You can understand this very well. And you cannot say that I don't know the self also. First you know yourself. Of course, as a Brahman you don't know, but through that means of knowledge you come to know. But what I am saying is the self is something, you can never say that I don't know myself. In an ordinary sense also you cannot tell me that, in fact, without operating any means of knowledge, you know yourself, that I am a conscious being. It is not a matter of proof. If you tell me that I am aham chetanaha, I am a conscious being. Where is the question of a contradiction? Any person will tell this much about oneself, and therefore without means of knowledge. So basically you know yourself without knowing Brahman. That's correct. And ultimately that self alone, the knower, is revealed as a Brahman through the means of knowledge called Shastra. That is where the uniqueness of Shastra is. Every means of knowledge should provide you a piece of information which cannot be arrived at through any other means of knowledge. And we have seen also perception. Through perception you can never arrive that you are Brahman. Through inference you can never arrive that you are Brahman. You cannot infer that I am Brahman. You cannot infer. For inference, yesterday we have seen, for an inference you require a data based on pratyaksha. Where is the Brahman is not available for pratyaksha. Brahman is not available to any sense organ. And therefore basically Brahman cannot be inferred. Brahman cannot be presumed. And therefore Brahman cannot be, through upamana, etc. You will come to know Brahman. Through what? Through some similarity with something else. But there is nothing other than Brahman. There is nothing equal to Brahman also. And therefore no similarity. You can know buffalo or you can know bison by comparing with buffalo. But you cannot know Brahman with similarity because there is nothing equal to Brahman. There is no other Brahman. Anyway, so we have seen all this. Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata, Veda. And therefore definitely the means of knowledge available to one's, to the human being, no one is sufficient to tell you that you are Brahman. And therefore you need an external means. External means that is Shastra, which will, which has a uniqueness to tell you that you are Brahman, and that's the only means of knowledge you have. So Veda only can tell you you are Brahman. So basically, I mean, it's a very unique jnanam in which a person knows Brahman without knowing Brahman, without objectifying Brahman, I mean. So definitely, Brahman is not an object of knowledge, it is subject, it is in the form of a knower, and it is not just knower, it is the status. Because knower also is coming and going. Knower resolves, knower arises, etc. And therefore, that is not my status. But the knower indicates that basically my swarupa, essentially, I must be the knowledge. If I am a knower, definitely a knower may be a temporary status, but it has arisen from the knowledge, the consciousness. And therefore, so without making it as an object, how do you know, how do you get the knowledge of Brahman? Well, by making the, by knowing the Brahman as a distinct from known and unknown objects, that is the third category, that is as a knower. Knower is a conscious entity, and you are told that you are consciousness, and that consciousness is ultimately limitless. So, well, that is what it has been revealed. Tadeva Brahma Tvam Vitti. So, instead of objectification, subjectification. That is my word. Subjectification. There is no subjectification. I don't think such an English word is there. But anyway, it should be known as a subject. It should be known as a subject. So I should claim, after going through the chapter 1, I should be able to claim that I am a conscious being, of course. But that is not my real nature. That is the incidental nature of me. That's a transactional reality of me. But my real nature is just, it's not a knower, but knowledge or consciousness. Prajnanam Brahma, that's my real nature. I am Brahman, I am limitless Brahman, limitless consciousness in which all these names and forms exist, or limitless consciousness, which is in the form of knower, known, and the knowledge, etc. So this is how it should be learned. And that's why here it is saying, yasya matam, for whichever jnani, amatam, Brahman is not, amatam means agnatam. So, well, for whichever, yasya means for whichever the jnani, this Brahman is amatam, Brahman is not known, tasya matam. For that jnani, Brahman is known, means he knows. And for whichever jnani, Brahman is not known as an object, to that jnani, Brahman is known, yasya matam, tasya matam. Then matam yasya sahana veda. But whichever ajnani tells that, yes, I know Brahman, well, that person does not know Brahman. Sahana veda. So he doesn't know Brahman. So yasya amatam. Yasya means here jnaninaha. For the wise person who says that, well, I don't know Brahman, means I don't know Brahman as an object, I know it as a subject. Well, tasya matam. He knows Brahman very well. He knows himself as a Brahman. Well, yasya matam. But one who says, yasya here now ajnani. For the ignorant person who says that I know Brahman very well. Matam means I jnatam. I know very well. Sahana veda. He doesn't know Brahman. So this is how it has been told. Now we'll see tomorrow further. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.